Guys, what's up and welcome back to another video. For the scent of the day, I have these unbranded Reed diffuser sticks, and I did just pick these up at the Dollar Tree recently. And they have no testers at the Dollar Tree for any of their scents, so you just kind of have to risk it. So when I opened these up to smell them, I wondered what they would smell like. This is called Wild Apple and Ashwood, and when I smell this, it smells kind of like a bathroom scent. I don't know about you, but there's like certain scents I smell that go in certain areas of my house, and this is something that I'm definitely gonna go stick in my guest bathroom. If you're new to my channel, I would love it if you took a moment and subscribed, and also hit the notification bell so you will never miss anything interesting. And also, I do upload every single day on Instagram and on Reddit, so if you're a person that likes updated content, be sure to go give me a follow. So welcome guys to another Sunday tutorial and review. In this week's palette, we're going in with the Morphe 35S Sweet Oasis. And the look we're going to be creating with this today is kind of a weird one, but I kind of like the results of it, and it's called a dotted blend, so we're going to do a lot of interesting things with this today. Here's the very interesting color story of this palette, and I really love the neutral tones paired in with the bold, vibrant hues in here. And remember, if you're interested in hearing my thoughts, experience, and recommendation for this palette, be sure to stay around for part 2 of the video, which we will get into all of that information. But as for right now, let's move right into the tutorial. Alright guys, welcome to the tutorial. So before we start the look, I always like to do the prep work. So I already went ahead and primed my eyes, and for that I used this Hermetic little eye cream just to get moisture in the area, and then I went in with the Sample Beauty eye primer. And then after that I went ahead and tight lined my eye with the same waterline pencil that I'm going to be using later, and this is just a pink one that I use a lot and I really enjoy. So the first thing that we're going to do is just build the foundation of this look. So the first brush I'm going to go in with is an angle brush. And I'm going to dip into a shade called Take Me Back. And I'm going to put this underneath my entire eyebrow. Now just grab any really fluffy brush and go into the shade called Alfresco. And just go ahead and apply this to any bare space of the lid. Alright, so that's the foundation of our look. And now we get to do the fun part. We get to make the dots. So we're going to use 4 shades to do this, and I'm going to name them all for you and show you what they look like. The first shade that we're going to be using is called Secret Lagoon. And then we're going to go into Tranquility. And then we're going to use Sail Away. And to kind of fill in all the bare spots, we're going to use Saltwater Dip. So I like to take Secret Lagoon to start with. And I'm just making all these random dots. I'm gonna put one underneath my eye right here. So that's that shade. So now we're gonna go into the gray shade called Tranquility. And we're gonna do the same thing. And don't be afraid to overlap them. Now once you get enough gray on there, go into your third shade, which is called Sail Away, and put this one on there. And then lastly, take the shade Saltwater Dip and fill in any bare spaces with that. And now take a really small detail brush and go into the darkest pink shade called Yacht Life. And we're gonna start building this front area. You wanna bring the pink close to the dots, but you don't wanna blend them together. And then what I did is I just filled in this little top section right here. And then with that same brush, I went into a shade called Hibiscus Blossoms. And I used that shade to blend out this really dark pink. And then what I did is I took my same brush I was using for the little dots and went back into the 2 darkest shades that we used and then kind of overlapped a little bit. That way there's no definitive line. Now it's time to put the shimmers on. So the first one we're gonna start with is the blue one called Reef Dive. And we're gonna apply this on the blue section of our eye. Just on the lid though. And then I went in the pink shimmer called Revel in it, and I applied this under the pink section. Now you have to blend these two together, and it takes a little bit of work, but it's possible. All right, now I'm gonna go ahead and do my waterline really quick. So I'm using that same pink liner that I did for my upper lash line. And now we get to clean this up. So I just grabbed a cotton pad with micellar water on it. And I'm gonna start at the inner corner first and just clean up all that residue. And I did get a lot of fallout with this palette. So when I get to this edge over here, I'm gonna take my cotton pad and flip it so it's like a crescent shape. And then just make a line all the way up. Now for the lower lash line, I just want to keep it very neutral, so I went into the brown shade called Shady Spot. I did kind of like a tapered placement, so I started very skinny at the front of my eye, and then the further away that I got, I widened it. So I want it to look very thin up here, and I want it to match down here. And once I get that line actually placed, then I just go ahead and fill it in. And now for the inner corner, we're going to use my favorite shade in the palette, which is called Windsurf, and just lightly place this right in your inner corner. So I'm going to go throw on some mascara, and then when I get back, we'll talk about this. Okay guys, so here's the eye look all said and done. I truly think it came out better yesterday, but I did spend a lot more time on it yesterday than I did today. I don't think this is an everyday look or for the everyday person, but I do think it's a great way to have fun with this palette and definitely a way to display the essence of this palette. I don't own a lot of Morphe palettes, and I only get the ones that really interest me. So let me know down below if you have any Morphe palettes and what I'm missing out on. But let's move right into part 2, which is the review. Alright guys, welcome to the review. Today we're going to be talking about the palette we just got done using, and that's the Morphe 35S Sweet Oasis palette. And here's again the packaging of it, and it's just a really simple cardboard packaging. And when you open it up, there's no mirror inside, but I do like that you can flip it all the way back and it doesn't rip the binding on the palette. So again, here's that color story. And in here you're getting 35 shades, each weighing 1.17 grams each. So that's just slightly above the average amount per pan. So really quick, what I'm gonna do is throw up a picture of some swatches of this palette so you can see how every shade looks swatched out. Alright, so of these 35 shades, 19 of them are mattes and 16 of them are shimmers. So first let's talk about the matte formula. Each matte shade is very soft, and that softness is consistent across the entire palette. I personally think this formula is great for creating gradients because you're offered so many different blend out shades in here, but I did struggle a bit with trying to build them and layer them up. I find that each shade in here is absolutely true to tone. And speaking on its pigmentation, I find it's a more buildable formula in lieu of being directly pigmented. So when it comes to positioning and placement, it's a much easier formula to manage and control. So now let's talk about the shimmers. The shimmers are each very hardly pressed in the pan, but I do appreciate that each one in here holds a base pigment, so you can use them in all sorts of ways. In my experience, I did have to build up the shimmers for maximum payoff. But I did like that I was able to use a dry brush with them, but if you use a damp brush, the results would be even better. So now let's get into our routine data check. This palette is not clarified as being a clean formula. This palette is cruelty-free, And there's nowhere online or on the product itself that this states that it's vegan, but I did have a look at its ingredients and there's nothing in there that wouldn't make it so. And there's also a 12-month expiration date on here and it's located on the back of the palette itself. So as always, my favorite part, which is the cost evaluation, is next. If you went out and bought this palette as it stands today, it would cost you $26. Breaking that down a little bit, it comes to 74 cents per shade. And breaking that down even further, it comes to 63 cents per gram. So comparing this palette to similar products offered on the market, it has an excellent cost per shade. And additionally, this palette has a very affordable cost per gram compared to other palettes that I've previously reviewed. So you know how I always like to do research and find interesting facts about my palettes and everything. I could not find anything interesting or any facts regarding this particular palette. But let's move right into my recommendation. So as I use this for the first time, I didn't experience any patching with the shades and I didn't have any creasing with the shimmers. I did have a remarkable amount of kickback and fallout on my face. So this is definitely an eyes before base type of palette. But if you've always been kind of curious about this one and on the fence about it, I definitely recommend it. And there are 3 reasons why I recommend it. The first reason is because it's very, very easy to work with. What you see is what you get. All the shades are super easy to blend, and it's a more manageable formula because it's not intensely pigmented. The second reason is because you're getting a lot of great blend out shades here. So if you've never really dabbled in gradients before and you really wanted to try it, this would definitely be a great palette to explore that. So in some palettes where you might only get one pink, this one offers a generous amount of them. So you can start from the darkest one and work your way up to the lightest one and make some beautiful looks just in the pinks alone. And my third reason is because there are multiple angles of depth in this palette. So in a lot of palettes, we only find one dark shade. And in a lot of palettes, we don't see any depth at all. But in this one, you have the whole entire bottom row of depth, plus this shade and possibly these shades can be used to build depth into your look. So given all those extra shades in here, you have unlimited possibilities as to which you can create. So yeah, guys, that's all I have for today's video. If you did enjoy it, please give me a giant thumbs up. And if you didn't like it, just hit that thumbs down button. And until next time, bye. No, you don't watch my videos anyway.
Yeah, I do. I do watch your videos. You just don't know it.
And remember, if you're interested in hearing my experience and thoughts with this palette, and recommendation for this palette, be sure to stick. But as for right now, let's get right into the tutorial. And then I went in with the Sample Beauty Erase and Boost Eye Paint. You want to bring it close to the dot, and I'm going to start at the interior. And I did kind of a tapered thing, so I started like a very, I did kind of like a tapered.
Hey, Dad.
Shh.
I'm sorry, Mom. You can continue.
So I'm going to throw some mascara on, then I'll come back and we'll talk about this. But let's get right into the review time. And as far as the, so if you haven't really tried so if you've never really